Then we got the Super Bowl. It's sad, though. We're almost done with football. The best time of the year, the football playoffs, the NFL playoffs. But right around the corner, you know that the season's almost over. It's kind of like Sunday. You still get to enjoy it, but for how long? Because Monday kind of, is looming around. Right into it. This past weekend, the wild card weekend of the 2023 NFL season was absolutely incredible. It started off absolutely on fire with the Cleveland Browns versus Houston Texans game. That game started off looking like it was going to be a shootout. The Houston Texans started with the ball, scored a field goal. Then the Browns came away, scored a touchdown. Then the Texans scored a touchdown. That game went back and forth very early on until one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, arguably the best rookie quarterback in NFL history, C.J. Stroud, decided it's takeover time. The former Ohio State quarterback threw bomb after bomb to former Michigan receiver Nico Collins. Isn't that ironic? C.J. Stroud had himself an absolute day. 274 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, while going along with over 75% completion percentage. He played absolutely incredible. I love C.J. Stroud. I'm so glad he was able to make it to the playoffs, win that last game against Indianapolis to make the playoffs. I'm sorry. But it was incredible to watch C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans in the playoffs. I currently have family living in Houston. If you're watching, shout out to you guys, the Samuels. That was an absolutely great game. I'm so happy. C.J. Stroud had an incredible 76-yard deep touchdown bomb to Brevin Jordan, which helped the Texans take the lead and further implement their lead with a couple throws to Nico Collins against the Cleveland Browns. And that duo was just incredible. C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry turned duo. It's amazing. It's so much fun to watch these two. And they're both going to be stars for years to come. And I can't wait to watch it. To go along with that, though, not only was the Texans' offense incredible, their defense held Joe Flacco to a fairly minimal game. Joe Flacco threw 2 pick sixes, which, if you don't know, means the Texans' defense scored 2 touchdowns, which is phenomenal in any game, regardless of its playoffs or not. And this is the playoffs, baby. Next week, the Houston Texans take on the Baltimore Ravens, the 1 seed in the AFC. This will be a tough matchup. On my show later this week, I will talk about my predictions for this, but I'm so excited. Another game of C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans in the playoffs. Who could ask for anything better? The next game was Dolphins-Chiefs. This game was not as fun to watch. The Dolphins struggled mightily. The Chiefs' defense took over, and the Chiefs' offense might have found their stride. Isaiah Pacheco was incredible. Rashee Rice is looking like maybe not the next Tyreek Hill, but he's looking like a really solid wide receiver 1 for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Patrick Mahomes by no means had a phenomenal game. He played all right, 230 passing yards, a touchdown, no picks, nothing special. We've seen much better from Mahomes, but he didn't really have to do anything. There wasn't much that he had to do against this Miami Dolphins defense. On the other side of the story, the Miami Dolphins offense all season long has arguably been the best offense in the National Football League, if not the best. Over 400 total yards per game, which was the most in the NFL. Almost 30 points per game on average, which was second to the Dallas Cowboys. And they got held to 7 points by the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, Mike McDaniels and the Miami Dolphins have struggled mightily in super, super cold games. And this game was super, super cold. But at the end of the day, you're playing on the same field that the Kansas City Chiefs are, and Rashee Rice almost put up 10 receptions and 100 yards. Rashee Rice put up 8 receptions, 130 yards, and a touchdown. And Tyreek Hill just was not able to manage the same exact thing. Tyreek put up 5 for 62 and a touchdown. His touchdown was nice, but Tua's got to get him the ball more. It's tough when you're playing on the same field to make excuses about the weather. But the Miami Dolphins struggled mightily, and I feel like a lot of it has to do with the weather. But again, you can't make excuses in the playoffs, especially now when you're playing against Patrick Mahomes and one of the best defenses in the entire NFL. The Miami Dolphins were held to less than 200 passing yards, about 76 rushing yards, and only 7 points, despite their incredible averages throughout the entire regular season. It's unacceptable for the Miami Dolphins. The Chiefs play Buffalo in Buffalo for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career. He will be playing away in a playoff game. How will he play? I'll talk about it later this week. Next game, Packers-Cowboys. Man, oh man, I loved watching Stephen A. First Take on this one. Let's just say, as a Commanders fan, I could not be happier with the results of this game. The Green Bay Packers made the Dallas Cowboys look like a bunch of frauds, and I'm loving it. That was an incredible game to watch. I, as you can tell by the smile on my face right now, am ecstatic to see the Dallas Cowboys sitting on the couch in Cancun right now, just like us. The only difference? Commanders have the number 2 pick, $86 million in cap space, new ownership, gonna have a new head coach, and an incredible new GM that I'm super excited for. And the Dallas Cowboys have a lot of questions. What do you do with Mike McCarthy now? Is Dak Prescott the answer? There's a lot of questions the Dallas Cowboys are gonna have to go through this offseason. They're gonna have to make some tough choices. But for right now, I'm enjoying this. This is fun. I love this. But back to football. The Green Bay Packers looked amazing. Aaron Jones had 3 touchdowns. Actually, Jake Ferguson looked incredible as well. Jake Ferguson and Aaron Jones both had 3 touchdowns. Absolutely incredible performances by the two. Jordan Love, though, is making a real case for whether or not he's the best quarterback in the entire NFC right now. If you're starting a team right now, do you want to have Jordan Love over guys like Trevor Lawrence? Do you want to have Jordan Love over guys like Jalen Hurts? The answer might be yes. In the 7 games prior to the Packers versus Cowboys wildcard game, Jordan Love had a touchdown-interception ratio of 18-1. That led the NFL by far. And in this game against the Dallas Cowboys with a defense who normally is one of the best in the league, Jordan Love played absolutely incredible. Jordan Love threw 3 touchdowns for 272 yards on only 16 completions. Meanwhile, he also only threw the ball 21 times. I'd say that's pretty impressive. Aaron Jones showed how he is still one of the best running backs in the league. Romeo Doubs has been incredible all season long. It's going to be very interesting next week when the Green Bay Packers head over to San Francisco to a team that they've struggled against mightily over the past handful of seasons with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Now you got Jordan Love. Now you got Romeo Doubs. You don't have Aaron Rodgers. You don't have Devontae Adams. What happens now? To be determined. The next game, best game of the weekend, Rams versus Lions. This one, storybook is all I can say. If I had to describe in one word, storybook. The Detroit Lions, a team who haven't hosted a playoff game in 30 years, a team who hasn't won a playoff game in almost 2 decades, finally get their chance. They win the division. They host a playoff game. And who do they play? The young kid that they took number 1 overall in 2009, Matthew Stafford.
The Detroit Lions select
hometown hero,
Matthew Stafford.
The guy who brought Detroit back to the playoffs for the first time in years, who they then traded away to the Los Angeles Rams for Jared Goff, and they gave up 2 first-round picks as well. Who they then also got 2 first-round picks back. And now you're facing him in your team's first home playoff game in 30 years. The guy that the whole city of Detroit thought originally was going to be the one to do it. And he comes in and he balls out. Matthew Stafford played incredible. Him and Puka Nacua both, phenomenal games. It was incredible to watch this. But the Lions pulled away on top. How storybook is that? Matthew Stafford was a part of the Lions winning their first home playoff game and their first playoff game in years, except not when he was with the Lions. It's touching, but also it's kind of sad. At the very end of the game, Matthew Stafford was asked how happy he was that Detroit finally got it. He goes, I'm happy for the players. Didn't talk about the fans, the city of Detroit. That was kind of upsetting. But the fans booed him when he walked on the field. So, I don't know. I guess I kind of get it. But this game was phenomenal. It was a tale of 2 halves for sure. First half, offensively, was incredible. Score it was 21-17 Lions at halftime, looking like it was going to be an absolute shootout, going to be projected for a 42-point to 34-point victory, and only 9 total points were scored in the entire second half and 0 touchdowns. There were 3 field goals, 2 by the Rams, 1 by the Lions. Eventually, the game came down to the wire. The Lions defense came out, stopped the Rams when they needed to, and just like that, Jared Goff took a knee, leaned back, looked out to the crowd of Detroit with his hands in the air, high and mighty, all happy because he had just won a playoff game against his former team as well in the Los Angeles Rams. As the whole narrative going into the week was Matt Stafford returns to Detroit. Matt Stafford plays his former team. Former number 1 overall pick Matt Stafford plays the Detroit Lions. And guess what former number 1 overall pick Jared Goff did? He won the game. He won the game for the Detroit Lions, despite the fact that Matthew Stafford played incredible. The Detroit Lions defense was incredible as well. What a game. I'm so happy for the city of Detroit. They host another playoff game next week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, whose game I'll talk about in just a second. The next game, honestly, there's not really that much to talk about. The Steelers versus the Bills. The Steelers had many opportunities to score when they were in the red zone, when they were in Bills territory, or even when they just got the ball. And costly turnovers, costly unawareness by Mason Rudolph led to their demise. Mike Tomlin is used to making the playoffs. He's not really used to endings like this, though. Although, the Steelers have lost the last 5 playoff games they've been in. So, that's saying something. Speaking of, Mike Tomlin, at the very end of the game, after when all the reporters are asking questions, Mike Tomlin was asked a question about whether or not he's going to be a part of the team next year or what the deal with his situation is, as he only has 1 year left on his. I'm just going to let the reporter take it away.
Mike, you have a year left on your contract.
Mike Tomlin just walked off in the middle of a question, didn't even let the reporter finish her question. He just walked right off. I think that was absolutely hilarious. Great play by Mike Tomlin, one of the all-time great coaches. Keeping a team like this Pittsburgh Steelers team in contention, he's never had a losing record, ever. That's incredible, especially with the fact that this Steelers team is not as talented as he's used to having. And they still came away, made the playoffs, and they didn't look terrible against the Bills. They looked pretty bad, but it could have been worse. Anyways, on the Bills side, though, Josh Allen looked amazing. Didn't really have to do much, but still threw 3 touchdowns. But the big thing for him, he limited his turnovers. 0 turnovers on the game for Josh Allen. It's incredible. Love to see that. And next week, they host their arch nemesis and his arch nemesis, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, in what is sure to be an absolute classic. The last time these two faced each other in the playoffs was 2022, and we all know what happened that year. That was the year of overtime when Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, 13 seconds left in the fourth quarter after Josh Allen just scored a touchdown to Gabe Davis. And Patrick Mahomes comes down with 13 seconds left, gets his team in field goal position, kick the field goal, win the game in overtime. Josh Allen doesn't have a chance. Let's see what happens in Josh Allen's revenge game. Josh Allen owns Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. In the playoffs, he's 0-2. Let's see what happens this year. In Buffalo, by the way. The last game that happened this weekend was the Eagles versus the Buccaneers. And man, oh man, you see the smile coming on my face. Just like the Cowboys, I love seeing the Eagles get smoked by Tampa Bay. Not only because Philly is a division rival, but I love Baker Mayfield. 337 passing yards and 3 touchdowns to go along with 0 interceptions. Love it. Baker Mayfield, after getting traded by the Browns, cut by 2 rosters, signing with Tampa to compete for the starting quarterback position, comes in, leads Tampa to a NFC South division title, and wins, and not only wins, dominates the former NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs. It was amazing. The Eagles looked terrible. The Cowboys looked terrible. The Giants, they always look terrible. And look at us, the Commanders. We look awful too. But we have the number 2 pick and a lot of cap space. So Let's just say I'm happy right now. The Philadelphia Eagles, though, a lot of it is because their play caller left last offseason. And I feel like that's a big trend with teams this year. Eric Bieniemy left the Kansas City Chiefs, and their offense didn't look as dominant as usual. The Eagles' offense coordinator and play caller left last year, and their offense, again, this year, didn't look like they did last year. They didn't look as dominant as they did last year. And it really showed. DeAndre Swift struggled. Jalen Hurts struggled. Devontae Smith was incredible. A.J. Brown didn't play. And Jalen Hurts just kept on trying to force feed the ball to Devontae Smith. He looked great. Just not enough. Eagles only scored 9 points to the Buccaneers' 32. The Bucs defense played phenomenal. Rachaad White looked good. Man, am I just happy that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to pull this one off against Philadelphia. I am so excited to see a Baker Mayfield versus Jared Goff matchup in Detroit. Either way, I'm happy because Baker Mayfield is a guy, he's so likable. He's so funny. He scored that first down in that celebration he did. Love it. It's so fun. It's entertaining. It makes football that much more exciting to watch. Players like Baker Mayfield. And not even saying he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But his swag, his spirit, that's exciting. It's thrilling. I love it. And now they go into Detroit next week where they will have another difficult task. The Eagles, they didn't make look so difficult, but they were a difficult task. The Detroit Lions, that's going to be a great game. Tampa versus Detroit. I'm excited to see what happens. Stay tuned till later this week when I give my predictions for all these games and my previews. That'll be a great show. I'm super excited. But with that being said, it was a great weekend of football. This was a great show. I had a great time making it. Again, what more could you ask for? Houston and CJ Stroud moving on. The Dolphins-Chiefs game, honestly, I'm fine with the results. I'm kind of sick of the Chiefs losing a little bit, maybe, but it was a good game. The Chiefs played well. I'm excited. Packers-Cowboys. Cowboys lost. Packers move on. Cowboys look terrible, too. Rams versus Lions. That was a phenomenal game. I'm so happy the city of Detroit finally got a win in football in the playoffs. That was so exciting to watch. I can't wait to watch the Lions versus Buccaneers. That game's going to be incredible, and I hope the Lions will pull through. Steelers-Bills. I love the Bills. Go Bills, baby. And I'm very excited that Josh Allen will be able to face his arch nemesis in Patrick Mahomes. That should be a phenomenal game. And fly, Eagles, fly home. Bye-bye, Philly. Bye-bye, Dallas. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers move on. The Green Bay Packers move on. These are going to be incredible games next week. Hopefully the week after as well in the NFC Championship. Then we got the Super Bowl. It's sad, though. We're almost done with football. The best time of the year, the football playoffs, the NFL playoffs. But right around the corner, you know that the season's almost over. It's kind of like Sunday. You still got to enjoy it, but for how long? Because Monday kind of, is looming around. Anyways, I'm getting a little off topic here. But with that being said, it was a great show. Had so much time making it. Thank you all for watching. If you want, follow my Instagram and TikTok at SportChaser. And stay tuned because I'm going to be making a lot more podcasts this year than I was last year in 2023. So with that being said, thank you all for listening. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.